Hello and good night. Welcome to the University of Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Dane Andre, with our distinguished professor, Kilonomics. What's up, brother?
Nothing much, man. Just trying to survive out here, man. It's been a rough week with these postponements. San Antonio had a big outbreak. All their games are canceled this week. Got LaMelo on a short week. Had all the stuff happening in Texas. With Houston, and Dallas and San Antonio. I mean, which was already struggling due to COVID. But figuring it out and finding a way to battle through it all. How are you doing?
Yeah. I have power and I have food. So it's not that bad, but definitely a hard week for a lot of people out there. And with that said, I mean, I'd like to, just take a moment of silence for a particular young man. I don't know what happened. I really don't.
I think a billion people in this world are trying to figure out, what happened. This was a global assault. This was, just not, Americans here. We're talking about a Japanese player. Career that's going to be changed forever.
Life-changing moment, definitely, for this young man. As we can see pictured here. Let's see what happened to this young man and his confrontation with the Antman, Anthony Edwards, number 1 draft pick in this year's NBA draft, number 2 in the association. I think it was number 2, number 3, maybe number 3. Let's see what happened.
And he's going to work. All of a sudden, T-Wolves are up by 3, and here's the slam. Jesus. Oh my goodness, Edwards.
Jesus.
With a mean poster. His head was at the rim. Look at his face. Look at his posterized face. That is ridiculous.
Oh my goodness.
God.
I still can't believe that dunk. I watched that replay hundreds of times, and I'm still in disbelief. Why is he so high? Why is he still able to grab the rim?
I mean, this is a full-on assault. I mean, all types of assault going on here. Just one look at his face. I mean, it's.
And you bring up a very good point, right? Like, so much of it was, this guy, him, his, and I said, we should identify this guy. Like no one has identified him. And so what did I do? I went to Basketball Reference, and looked up this guy's name, because I've seen him on the floor before, but I've never paid attention to his jersey number. It kind of reminded me of what was it, Shaq, when he was talking about he didn't know Siakam's first name was Pascal. Yeah. What an embarrassment. But this guy's name is Yuta Watanabe. Yuta Watanabe.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, I love Basketball Reference because they list the nicknames and whatnot. His nickname is the Chosen One.
Well, tell us what has he been chosen for here?
I think he was chosen to sacrifice his body for the better of Anthony Edwards.
Yes, he
uh,
definitely had to. I mean, Toronto did win this game, by the way, and he maybe Watanabe made the necessary sacrifice to deliver that win.
Rim. Look at his face. Look at his posterized face. That is.
I mean, when you look at everyone else though, what do you see going on with the rest of the Raptors in this? Oh my God, I can't get enough of this.
man,
I mean, look.
so I,
First of all, let me just put it on a couple of people. Let me put it on a couple of people. Let's look at this guy here, number 21, right? So let's watch him from the start. Dunk happens. He grabs the ball and turns around like that's not his teammate. Like so what's gonna happen is
yeah, he picked the ball up, took a couple dribbles like he was going to another party or something. What are you dribbling
like,
for?
he turned around
I
like
didn't
I don't
understand
want to be associated with this guy. Like he looked like he wanted to change his jersey right there.
You know, I'm really disappointed in Nick Nurse. I think this was a great opportunity to challenge a play. You know, show you're you're up and coming player that you're in support. And he was wrongfully abused. Like this should not be tolerated. And he's gonna make a
Wow.
stand for it.
God bless that man. What Wananobi. I hope he recovers from this, but I just don't see any way back from this, man. I really don't. Every time I see him, I'm gonna remember this dunk.
I'm just gonna remember that he's the chosen one. He was chosen to sacrifice his body for the better of our entertainment. So I appreciate I
Yes.
appreciate his sacrifice.
Thank you. We thank him for that sacrifice. You're absolutely right. So we had some other really entertaining things happen this week. It's AllStar Selection Week, and we've heard we've seen where our votes have gone, and we see the who the starters are for this All-Star game coming up. Any surprises here for you on the All-Star starters?
No real surprises. This, the picks. These were my exact picks about a month or so ago. I will say, Luca probably wouldn't have been my pick if I casted another vote recently, because there's another guy that's just been putting on a show and has just been a consistent, train the beginning of this season.
I'm assuming that guy is Damian Lillard.
You damn right. It's Dame Dollar Dame time.
Yeah, see that was my pick as well, and I'm a little disappointed that Dame is not pictured here along with his fellow Western All Stars Steph Curry, LeBron, Jokic, Leonard. I mean, let's for a second. I'm not saying Luka does not deserve to be an All Star, but I think the way Dame has performed this year, I mean, you just can't deny what he's done for that team. I mean, you look at even it's really difficult for somebody to put up those kind of numbers at his size and stature, and just unbelievable games. The things he's done this season, as far as like, look what he did to the Bulls. Like I know Luka's putting up triple doubles and all these really great things, but
But losing.
Dallas ain't. I mean, it ain't really working, man. Not really helping. So I feel like Dame, he's down a CJ, and he still has his team performing. They're what, number 5 or 6 in the West right now?
Yep.
Give that man his respect, man. I feel like people keep disrespecting Dame, and I don't like it, man. I just feel like they need to fall back and
He's
let him let him do him. Like,
he's just one of those guys, man. The fan base won't appreciate him until he's gone, man. And it's gonna be a damn shame when that happens, right? Just a stand up guy, old school personality, right? Not trying to team up with nobody. It's just as loyal as it comes, right? It's the ultimate competitor.
yeah,
And he's competing at like the highest level. I mean, the fact is Dame Dollar is is an MVP candidate.
yeah, he is.
You can't say the same thing about Luca. I'm not saying Dame is like top three or anything like that, but certainly he's the top tier. I would say top six
Yeah,
easily.
yeah, definitely.
And so it's just disappointing, man.
Yeah, it's disappointing, but fans rule when it comes to this stuff, and the fact of the matter is, Luca's got a whole country and even
Nah. Let's not put it on the fan. Let's not just put it on the fans, man. The fans only get a certain percentage of the votes. You
who
got the
believes
media
tie. It was
and
a
you got the
tie.
players.
The fans vote ultimately rules, and the fans voted for Luca.
Nah, but the fans only get like a 50% or something like that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
Or 25% vote.
if it's tied, which it was tied, in terms of
Ah,
media,
okay.
in terms of the players' votes, it was tied, and so the tiebreaker becomes the fans' votes, and the fans voted that they wanted to see Luca over Dame, and so that was a tiebreaker. And I'm just like, well, that's where you get into the stuff of talking about a popularity contest, of talking about other stuff that probably don't have any real place in this whole game. But he's got a whole country behind him, a whole continent probably. So if it comes down to fans votes, the fan votes have never been so reliable. So it is what it is. But
Yeah, that's how it goes. And I mean, people still in search for the next Larry Bird. I don't know if that guy is ever gonna come, walking onto that court. But if it's a guy, I mean, you got two great candidates, here on the screen, that are playing at an incredible level.
yeah, except they're not American. But it is what it is. Um, But real quick shout out to the association teams represented in the All-Star game. We got Rucker Park with two All-Stars and Giannis and Kawhi, newly acquired Kawhi. Um, yeah, Bimtown, Cranston Killers, Money Men each have a player. Beantown Bombers. I've got two players in there, Kyrie and Joel. And King's Landing with two All Stars, Beal and Curry. So his backcourt is will be featured in the All Star game. So
What do
congratulations.
you what do you
Yeah,
what do you think this means? What do you think this means?
I don't
Do
know,
you
but
want a team with surrounded by as many all stars as possible?
that's
Um,
a good question, man. I think this summer is something that I definitely want to do some research on to see how and if there's any correlation between having all stars and being really successful in this league.
hmm.
Right now it's anyone's guess, but and we'll get more data once we figure out who the reserves are. Speaking of which, we both had our takes on who possibly may make the All Star reserves for the East and the West. You want to start with your list?
Yeah. So high level. The East reserves were very tough. There's a um, huge amount of very qualified people. that can make the East reserves. And the West, um, I felt, when I got to number, you know, 6, 7 for the reserve spot, it could go a lot of different ways, and I was kind of reaching to fill that last spot. Like I almost wish I could reach for somebody in the East and put him as a West reserve. But some no brainers for me: James Harden, uh, Brown on the Celtics, uh, Julius Randle, given what he's doing with New York, Zach Levine, what he's doing, Vucevic, he doesn't get no love. Um, and then Tatum and Adebayo were two tough picks for me, but both their teams are playing really well. I really struggled with almost trying to put Sabonis in there because the Pacers are not represented, but I unfortunately watched too many Pacers game, and and I know what Sabonis' impact is, and he's not as dominant, as some of the other guys on this list, in my opinion.
Mm.
And then as far as the West reserves, Dame, of course, Paul George, of course, Davis, easy. Although he's got the Achilles/calf injury, so he won't be playing in the All-Star game. Uh, and then Chris Paul, phenomenal. I can't believe how well he's doing. I probably got to switch my diet to vegan, man, because he's just putting on a show, and we're right around the same ages. Um, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, easy. And then DeRozan, I was looking for a representative for a playoff team in the Spurs, and that's who I came up with.
Yeah, yeah, I think he deserves it. Yeah, I had the same issues, man. The East was really, really tough. And as I got towards the bottom of the West, it became really, really tough. And my list is not really in any particular order, but I felt like I think you felt it was a harder decision for Tatum, but it was really easy for me. I thought Tatum was there. I know he's missed some games and due to COVID and whatever, but I think he's a clear cut all star. Jalen Brown, his teammate, I wanted to put Jalen Brown in. I really did. I think he's deserving of an all star berth. Um, but I don't know that I believe the Celtics deserve two all stars.
Mm,
I think that's just where I kind of put him on the curb just to on my waiting list. Let me see who else is there, and then if I have a spot, I'll bring you in. I know he's averaging like 25 plus points and all that, but I just feel like with the things you mentioned, the Pacers, right? The Pacers only not really having any representation. I felt bad about that, and I don't have somebody on my list. Like you mentioned Sabonis. I think Sabonis is a great candidate, but you also have Malcolm Brogdon, who's putting up
mm,
really, really, really good stats, and he's up there, man. He's up there. I think from an efficiency standpoint, he's even more efficient than Brown, um,
mm.
and I don't see. I think he has a just as good of a case to be in there as Brown does. So, but Julius Randle, that one was a tough one for me, tougher than I thought because being a homer, I wanted to put Julius in there, and I did eventually put Julius in there just because I felt like his road to and with the team he's on right now, the Knicks really outperforming expectations. And I think Julius is a big reason why he's doing. I mean, numbers wise, he's doing things that only Jokic and I don't know who's another person that's doing it.
LeBron, maybe.
It's not LeBron, but it's somebody like that. It's like Jokic and I don't even know who else it, but putting up, you know, double double plus like 7 plus assists. It's only like three guys doing it in the league right now, and Julius is one of them. So I feel like he should be definitely be an all star. Um,
Oh, 7 plus assists. That's probably like Luca then. Luca
might be
range.
Luca, might be Luca, yeah, might be Luca,
Sabonis is flirting because he's
yeah,
probably at around 5 assists.
yeah, yeah. Um, you know, Bam, I think obviously deserves to be there. But Miami having a down year so far, slow start to the year, you know, as they probably should. They came off a long run in the playoffs. Um, Dealt with a lot of COVID stuff and didn't really have their full team functioning. But he's been great. James Harden was an easy one. My only hesitation was the Nets have two all stars in there, but it's just like there's no denying Harden being there, man. You just have to have him. Zach Levine, Zach Levine is doing on from a individual perspective. I wanted to, at first it was like, oh well, yeah, but the Bulls, they're not. Are they really doing anything? Well, not really, but they're also kind of in still in the mix with those teams like the Knicks and only really a couple of games separate them and even Indiana and Boston. So they're all kind of lumped in the same. So with the way he's scoring the ball right now and at his efficiency, man, that really surprised me how efficient Levine has been. Um, because I don't think I've ever seen him play as efficiently as he has this season. So I think an All Star berth is due for him. Then my last guy on the East, Tobias Harris, man. I just it's not a sexy name. All right, it's kind of like how
It's
do I
a
put it?
Great Dane's name.
Yeah, yeah. It's a homer pick, man. But um, to have him to not have two Philadelphia 76ers representing this All-Star game, I think would be a shame because they don't have the best record in the league or anything like that, but they do have the best record in the East. And with Embiid missing games, with Ben Simmons missing games, that leaves Tobias, man. I think he's running the show. He's keeping things afloat. He's the glue. He's averaging 20 points per game. Very similar numbers to even let's say a Jalen Brown, but his team is performing at a higher level. So I think he has a strong case to make an All Star game. But you know, popularity. I mean, we'll see what the coaches say. The coaches see things.
Man, over Ben Simmons?
Yeah.
He's playing both sides of the ball. We're talking about arguably one of the best defenders. I
No,
mean, I've given his offensive struggles,
I agree
have
with that.
been there, to start out this season.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as of late, he's turned it on.
He
Um,
has, especially last month. Ben Simmons has been really good. He's averaging 20, like 21 points per game or something like that over the last month. He's
Hitting
been
free throws.
been getting better. He's definitely been playing better, but better than he has in the beginning. But Tobias, man, he's been solid all year, all year. Not just the last month. Not you know, he's been good all year.
Man, that's
And
a terrible book, man. Who wants to watch a movie that just is just
I know nobody wants to see Tobias
you
Harris in
know what
all.
that reminds me of? Like the pursuit of happiness. Like the pursuit of happiness like just got depressing after like hour 2.5 because I was just waiting for something to change.
Yeah,
And it just did. It was just
yeah.
flat.
I get it. The same thing with Vucevic. Like Vucevic is just dominating, man. But his team is not, and that's the only knock I have against Vucevic. But he's putting up great numbers, man. If Beal can be there and as a starter, then I don't see why Vucevic can't even just make the team at all. So that's my team.
Yeah, he
I spent a little bit more time on this than I thought, but really quickly, the West is pretty straightforward. I echo everything you said. and add that the Utah Jazz, they deserve two guys in the game.
Mm.
Donovan's, he's been good. He hasn't been as I would say consistent as maybe some of the other guys, but he's been really good, especially over the last month and a half or so. And my surprise guy in there was Brandon Ingram. Um, I guess I had him in over DeRozan, but it was really close. DeRozan deserves to be an All-Star, and clearly with LaMarcus Aldridge not being what we're accustomed to seeing with him, DeRozan is helping that team look like a Popovich team. So I can't argue with DeRozan at all. Um, but yeah, Ingram year two, in this All Star form. I know the Pelicans are not doing great, um, but yeah, I think he's having another fantastic season. So put him in there. Um, Davis, Davis is like he's good. He's been good. He's always good, right? Like he's Anthony Davis. I know you want to put him in All Star game, but I know he's injured. He's not going to play anyway. But he hasn't been like super dominant Anthony Davis that we're used to seeing, and that kind of you know made me a little less enthusiastic about having him there. But Lakers also deserve having two players in this game, just like the Clippers. And
It
Anthony,
also speaks. It also speaks to the lack of depth of big men out west, right? Like, who's the second best big man after Rudy Gobert? That's not starting for the West.
Hmm.
I've heard people mention Christian Wood, and I said lose my number.
Well, Christian Wood has very, very similar numbers to Anthony Davis. He just doesn't have the wins behind it.
And he doesn't play the defense like Anthony Davis does.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Anthony
But,
Davis has been like
but
outstanding defensively, right? Like, and I
true,
mean,
true.
it's even bigger than the numbers, which is arguably why people choose Rudy Gobert, in my opinion, right? Like,
Gobert
like what
is
he does.
because the fan the I don't think the fans are gonna vote him, man. He's gonna be voted in by the coaches.
Mhm.
Anthony Davis is usually a starter, and if you have to, let's be honest, the fans are not voting people in because of defense. The media will, and the fan and the coaches will, but even the players, like I don't even know that the players are gonna vote somebody in because of their defense. So as good as Davis has been defensively, we just know, even looking at his numbers, we just know that he's not been like that top five guy that he's accustomed to being in fantasy. And it's not that he doesn't deserve to be there, but I'm just like, I guess. I think that pretty much concludes our wrap up of what happened in the NBA. But really quickly, let's look at the matchups that happened in the association. Great Danes played the Midtown Moneymen. It was not as close as it looks. County stats were really, really lopsided. But that's because Midtown had three Texas players who had games postponed and just did not play. So DeRozan was one of them. I think Jay Sean Tate, and there's another Texas player that Midtown has, Oladipo, and of course CJ McCollum's still out. So um, I'll take the win, but it really wasn't fair. We just had a crazy advantage. There was no way Midtown could compete this week against anyone. Amherst played the Titans of San Juan. We predicted San Juan would win, but that didn't happen. Amherst, um, just had enough guys come back to play. Shay's back to being healthy. Put up a nice line. I think it was tonight when they played. He dropped 31, 31-9. I think he just had enough players out there doing just what they needed. Um, Nothing really stuck out in this matchup other than they beat the Titans in blocks, which never really happens, especially with Gobert and Boucher on the other side. Not sure what happened with the Titans this week, but the defensive stats, I was expecting them to win, and they only won steals. So, um, you know, it happens. The Bombers, also with a big win. We picked NY to win this one, but yeah, the Beantown came to play. Even without Durant, even without Wood. Uh, Bimtown.
Bentown visited the Busters. We split, as far as the Busters and the Bentown pick. But let's break down what that matchup looked like. So going in, Luca, which is Bentown Celtics superstar, was on a 2-game week, which quickly got cut down to a no-game week. So Bentown was without their star player, but was able to pull off the 5-4 victory. I'll also mention that Rucker Park had a 5-game advantage over Bentown. And despite that, Bentown, continues to stay hot. The one player that really or the two players that really stand out to me are Zion Williamson. He's just playing at a really high level. Put up over 100 points. Is giving some rebounds, some assists, keeping low turnovers and not ruining the percentages. And then Norman Powell, right, which was a waiver wire pickup for Bentown, is paying some dividends. He's shooting the ball really well at 53%, 94% from the free throw line, with 12 threes, 82 points. 82 points. And so it's just a really, really good effort from her team, with only 21 games in a week. And so then, looking over at the other side, Rucker Park was given a surprise because Kawhi Leonard didn't play to start out the week. But it's just not enough, man. And I look at the roster. I'm trying to figure out, what went down, and I see Jay Rich didn't play, but Luca also didn't play for Dallas. And then Stewart in at the center position was pretty concerning, but the whole Drummond situation kind of, I think, foiled their long-term plan. So looking forward to seeing what Rucker Park is able to do in the next coming weeks, because they spent a whole lot of money to put together this roster, and so if they're not putting together a championship, it's going to be an expensive pink ribbon. Oh yeah. And then moving on to the next matchup, we've got my Brooklyn Phoenix playing the Frankfurt 17ers. And this was just quite disappointing. I actually don't really want to cover this matchup right now. My team, lost to a team that's clearly tanking, that, is, basically a bunch of young guys. And so, to lose 6-3, no matter the circumstance, is just really disappointing. But you know what? We're here to do the analysis. We're here to give you, the scoop as far as what happened. So Frankfurt was able to have a 5 games lead advantage, and that, paid quite a dividend. because the Brooklyn Phoenix is filled with players from the Pacers and the Houston Rockets, which weeks unfortunately got cut short. And also, Paul George was also not in the starting lineup, and he finally came at the end of the week. And then on the other side of the ball, and I should mention Cat had a very strong week. So things are looking promising for the future of Cat with this with the Phoenix. And on the other side of the ball, I mean, it was really just a group effort. Um, so just a lot of promise to this team's future. It's always good to get a win against one of the top teams in the league, and so I think that momentum could carry into to what's possible for next year. And then next we've got Chennai. GameStop played visited the Cranston Killers. And so in this matchup, we both picked GameStop, and GameStop came up short. And so, this was a big surprise. And so one thing I think that kind of changed the matchup quite a bit was that despite Cranston Killers having D'Angelo Russell in the lineup, they had a 4-game advantage over the GameStop, and this is mainly because Harrison Barnes didn't play for the week, and so it was just overall just a big struggle for GameStop to put enough stats together to overcome. And he also lost. GameStop also lost Gordon Hayward for a game or two, because I know they had some cancellations early in the week because they were the last team that played the Spurs, so that kind of sucked. But let's move on to the winners of that matchup, which is Cranston Killers. He had some excellent performances from Trae Young and Jason Tatum, both putting over 100 points, putting together more than 10 threes. And Trae Young with a 2-to-1 assist ratio, 42 to 21 assist to turnovers, and so that was really good. And on 54% shooting from the field and 88 from the line, and then finally got some contributions defensively with Jared Allen and Tice both contributing 6 blocks. So he's going to need that, to continue if he's going to, continue to beat, some of the contending teams. And then next matchup, we've got True Grit, which visited the Sparrows. And we both picked True Grit here. We understand where Syracuse Sparrows is. And True Grit, despite not having Anthony Davis, I mean,
Yeah.
they just got it done. And it's entirely just on just the complete disrespectful roster that Syracuse Sparrows has out there. I look at these players quickly: Robinson, Murray, maybe Murray. Unfortunately, due to the cancellations, Cameron Johnson, Jermaine Grant, Wright's been solid. Unfortunately, had the groin injury. Hayes, and then Brandon Clark. But I mean, maybe 2 or 3 of these players, in the starting lineup would start on any of the contending teams. And so, it's just where this team is at. And so, they're getting ready for the lottery. And that's just what it is.
Yeah. Final matchup was the Kings Landing. Kings played Solid State. We, per usual, would go with Solid State, and looks like they got upset in this one. Even with James Harden going off this week, I mean, like 3 triple doubles. He was on fire. I mean, finished the week with 18 threes, 127 points, 43 assists. I mean, he was a beast. But even still, even with all of that, King's Landing found a way to pull it out. They were dominant in threes, of course, with Beal and Curry, who didn't even play in his final game last Saturday night. He played in Charlotte and did not come out because he was feeling sick. But even with that happening and rolling out a guy like JJ Redick, Kevin Knox, who was in the lineup but didn't really play any minutes this week, still found a way to pull out a win against Solid State, and that's very concerning to me. But these kind of games, when you have low volume and really good players, you can do something when it comes to efficiency, right? You can shoot the lights out in terms of, as King's Landing did, shooting almost 50% for the week, 49 to be exact, 87.9 from the free throw line. I mean, low turnovers. That's 3 categories already. And then if you have other guys doing their part, good things will happen. So he was able to pull it out when it comes to steals and 3-pointers, as I mentioned before. So congrats to King's Landing. I mean, that was a inspired week, and we'll see what can happen moving forward. Solid State not having Rashad Holmes in the lineup probably hurt. He's back, played tonight. But yeah, I mean, there's really very little excuse for this happening, I think. The only Spurs player on Solid State is Derek White, and so he of course he didn't play, and a couple other guys out. Nance, Marcus Smart still not there, but yeah, not a good loss. Not a good game for Solid State's record. But this is a good team. They'll bounce back. All right. Well, that ends our matchups for week 9, and we'll be back at you with our preview of week 10, where we'll not only give you our picks, but also give you our academic evaluation of the teams in the association. So where does everybody stand? Let's see. We'll be right back at you.